Good morning, children. So, today we will continue our social science second chapter topic, the regional kingdom, part 1. So, open your book, children. So, in our last class, we have discussed till Mahmud of Ghazni. I hope till that is clear to you all. Now, in our today class, we will start from the Ghorids. Okay, so now let us start the Ghorids. Similar like Ghazni, Ghor was also a small kingdom now present day at Afghanistan. Okay, Mahmud of Ghazni had defeated the ruler of Ghor and made him his vassal. So now what is vassal, children? Uh, Vassal means it's a ruler only, but who is subordinated to high authority and is dependent on them. That means a ruler is there out there, but whatever decision or step he is going to take, he has to take the permission of the high authority. Clear? Like Ghazni, when he defeated Ghor, he made Ghor his vassal. That whatever Ghor will do for the kingdom, he will first take the permission or discuss with Mahmud of Ghazni. Okay, so what happened when Mahmud of Ghazni died? Ghaznavid became very weak as Mahmud was powerful ruler, but when he died, Ghaznavid became weak, and this turned out an advantage situation for the Ghor. Okay, so what Muhammad Ghori did out here is that he made Ghor an independent, and also what he did, he has taken away Ghaznavid's territory as he could not do it so before, as because when Mahmud Ghazni was alive, during that time he could not do anything as because he was very powerful, but when he died, taking advantage of that, he had annexed the Ghaznavid territory and made Ghor an independent. Clear? Now, Muhammad Ghori was popularly known as Muhammad Ghori. By this name in history we know him, but his origin name was Muizuddin Muhammad. Clear? Now, I will tell you about Muhammad Ghori. So, who was he? Regarding Muhammad Ghori, we will talk now. Now, Muhammad Ghori, he was also an ambitious ruler and he wanted to expand his empire. Clear? As I tell you earlier, children, that if you want to expand your empire, what do you need to do? What do you need? You need wealth, right? And you have to make your army strong. Clear? So, Muhammad Ghori also need wealth to make his army strong, to make his kingdom powerful. So what he did is that he decided to invade India because he knew that if he invade India, he will get wealth. But he was in tension. So his tension was that not only to get wealth from India, but also to build an empire. Clear? Now you can see that Mahmud of Ghazni, his interest was to get wealth from India. Clear? Now Muhammad Ghori, his interest was to get wealth and to expand his empire too in India. Clear? Now this was the difference we could see in Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Clear? Now Muhammad Ghori, what he did not only invade India for wealth, but also he built and expand his empire. Clear? So, in 1175, Muhammad Ghori, what he did? He attacked and conquered Multan. Clear? But in 1178 was a tough time for him because he was defeated by the ruler of Gujarat. So, at that time when he was defeated by the ruler of Gujarat, he realized that to do further conquer or further to invade, he should have a strong base. Clear? And by thinking that, he found that Punjab to be a good base for him. And in 1190, what we can see is that he conquered Punjab. Clear? Now, this was an alarm. When he conquered Punjab, this became an alarm for the Rajput ruler of the neighboring kingdom of Delhi and Ajmer. Clear? And during that time, Prithvi Raj Chauhan was the ruler out there. Now, Prithvi Raj Chauhan prepared himself to face Muhammad Ghori. Clear? Now, next we will, till Muhammad Ghori is clear, now we will move on to Battle of Tarain. Clear? Now, this Battle of Tarain, what happened in this battle? Clear? And in this battle of Tarain, two battles were fought here. Clear? In the first was there in 1191. The armies of Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan they class at the Rhine. And where is the Rhine? The Rhine was a place, it was 80 miles from Delhi. Clear? That is in 1191 there was a battle between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori's army. Clear? In the first battle of the Rhine, Prithviraj Chauhan, he defeated Muhammad Ghori, and the biggest mistake Prithviraj Chauhan made out here was that he did not make any attempt to chase the Ghori out of Punjab. Clear? He did not take any action to throw Ghori from Punjab. He thought that he had defeated Ghori. Now story is over. He did not bother to know where Ghori was. Clear? As he has gone out of Punjab or not, he did not think about all these things. So this is known as the biggest blunder mistake done by Prithviraj Chauhan. Clear? Soon after, we will see that Muhammad Ghori regrouped his force, and in 1192, that means Muhammad Ghori make his army very strong, and in 1192 again both Ghori army and Chauhan army meet again, and they started fighting together again. Clear? Now this time Muhammad Ghori was well prepared and he defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. Clear? Although Prithviraj Chauhan, when he was being attacked by Ghori, he appealed for help from other Rajput ruler, and almost Rajput ruler came to help Prithviraj Chauhan. But most powerful ruler was there at Raja Jaichand of Kannauj. He however stayed away from this. But finally what we can see is that Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated by Muhammad Ghori. But when Muhammad Ghori has defeated Prithviraj Chauhan, what we can see that he did not stop out here. Clear? He did not stop that out here. Then further he moved in 1194. He defeated Raja Jayachandra in the battle of Chandwar, where Muhammad Ghori has defeated Raja Jayachandra. Clear? So what he got after defeating Prithviraj Chauhan and Raja Jayachandra? He got lot of area and lot of territory. Now what he will do? He could not himself take care of all this. Now what he did is that he hand over the land, whatever he has conquered, to the trusted general. That means to the, in Hindi we call it, to the Biswasi person. He has given all this land so that he could take care of this land. And what Ghori did was that he returned back to his homeland. Clear till this much? Now next we will move on to struggle for Kannauj. Now see, Kannauj was the most important city in North India, and the way it was located, that its location was such that whoever could control Kannauj will have a direct control in the all resources. He can control that could found in the entire Ganga Valley. By resources we mean that mineral, agriculture, trade. Clear? So for that everyone was in fight to get Kannauj. Clear? Then we can see in since 8th century there was a struggle between Palas, Gujara Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas. Clear? To get hold in Kannauj. Now this struggle between them was known as tripartite struggle. Clear? Now what do you mean by tripartite struggle, children? See, tri, that is TRI, means three. Clear? So tripartite struggle means that struggle which include three parties. So here was struggle between three parties, that is Palas, Gujara Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas. For what they were fighting? To have control over Kannauj. Clear? And this struggle lasted for about 2 centuries. And when this fight was going for a long period of time, they have weakened their dynasty, because all their will they have spent it in this war. Clear? For this reason they have weakened the dynasty. Now we will see about the Palas. Now struggle for Kannauj is clear, I hope children. Now the Palas. Now they rule the region which is in present day covered or include state of Bihar, Jharkhand and West Bengal. Clear? Here the first ruler of Pala dynasty was Gopala, and he with his son Dharmpala expanded his kingdom and made it strong. Clear? Now during the reign of Pala, there we can see was this Pala dynasty was having a huge prosperity in his kingdom. That is was this kingdom Pala was well expanded and strengthened. They have strengthened his kingdom, made the kingdom very powerful. What was the reason for the prosperity? Was that they have encouraged, that is Pala, they were having trade relation with Southeast Asia. Clear? Now Pala we have found that was the follower of Buddhism. How can we say that they were the follower of Buddhism? Now during that time they has built many stupas, and even money to the monastery was also been given by them. But in 12th century what we have seen is that they were succeeded by the ruler Sena dynasty, and they ruled, this Sena dynasty ruled till that time until unless they were defeated by the Muslim. Clear regarding struggle of Kannauj and the Palas. Now next we will see the Gujara Pratiharas. Clear? Now Gujara Pratiharas, they rule over the part of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Clear? And who was the most powerful ruler of this dynasty was Bhoja, who ruled from 836 to 882. Clear? Now Bhoja has conquered Kannauj and he made its capital. Okay, so later on he was being succeeded by his son Mahendrapala, who expanded the empire further. Now so when Bhoja was a ruler, everything was going okay. Now when his successor, his son Mahendrapala was a ruler, he has expanded his empire and everything was okay during Mahendrapala time also. But the successor, that is after Mahendrapala, the one who ruled was not that much strong. Clear? They were very weak, and even they could not defeat the king from different region who was attacking or who was invading the region. Clear till this much? Now in 1018 Mahmud of Ghazni has defeated the Pratiharas ruler in 1018, and the Gujara Pratiharas dynasty came to an end. Clear? When Gujara Pratiharas dynasty came to an end in 1018. So children, out here you must have to remember the date. Date is very important. In which date what happened, this thing you have to remember. So for that you have to go through the text too. Clear? So out here we have done, or we have completed the part of North Indian Kingdom. Clear? Now in our next class we will move on to the Deccan. Clear? So till then just go through it. Thank you.